This is a presentation of the archetypes and points of comparison found in Beowulf to Walt Disney's Lion King. Many movies consist of a similar plot, good versus evil. There is the villain that tries to ruin all normality, and on the other hand there is the hero, who has the strength and power to overcome the evil and prevail in the end. Beowulf is the simplest kind of epic there is. It's about the conflict between a courageous, mighty, loyal warrior and demons and dragons. The forces of good battle the forces of evil again and again, knowing that one day they will be defeated, but at least they'll die fighting. Of course, good in Beowulf means strong, generous, and proud, and evil means demonic creatures. This particular battle between good and evil isn't as much about morals as it is about fate and reputation. Good versus evil is a common theme in Beowulf. Beowulf represents good, and the three monsters represent evil. Beowulf is the larger-than-life hero who kills and conquers the evil Grendel, Grendel's mother, and the dragon. Beowulf is a mighty warrior from the land of the Geats. He has heard of the terrible monster Grendel and leaves his homeland to help Hrothgar, the lord of the Danes. He is courageous, bold, and stronger than any of Hrothgar's warriors. Grendel is established as being evil because he is a descendant of Cain, the first murderer. He terrorizes Heorot for 12 years. He attacks the Danes because of their merriment and joy. The Danes mention God in their songs, and this infuriates Grendel. In The Lion King, Simba overcomes his uncle Scar from taking over as ruler of Pride Rock. He fights Scar and his band of hissing hyenas. Sinister Scar plots to kill his brother and nephew, King Mufasa and young Simba, so he could become king himself. Demonstrating incredible love and courage, King Mufasa risks his own life to save the life of his son Simba. However, the noble king ultimately is killed by his own brother who seizes the throne. King Mufasa's death is sad, but is a necessary part of the story. Simba returns to confront his evil uncle and demonstrates his understanding of responsibility and true authority. The Lion King conveys a clear message of hope and reconciliation, and promotes a message of stewardship and enjoyment of the wonders of creation. It also paints a portrait of a powerful, yet humble leader willing to sacrifice for others.
In both Beowulf and The Lion King, a body of water serves as the setting during a very significant point in the storyline. In Beowulf, the water is the surface of the home of Grendel's mother. After descending for what is described as hours, Beowulf enters the lair of Grendel's mother and begins the fight. Since Grendel's mother is set on avenging her son, this fight proves almost life-ending for Beowulf, but he prevails, living to see another battle. This fight is very significant because Beowulf was very close to death, and if it weren't for his mail shirt, he would have. In The Lion King, the body of water is the small one. After Mufasa's death, Simba is questioning his place in Pride Rock. Rafiki brings him to a small pool of water and tells him to look in. After Simba is confused because he only sees himself, but upon being told to look closer, he sees the reflection of his father. Rafiki then tells Simba, "You see, he lives in you." At this point in the story, Simba realizes that his father is always in him, and that this is the first scene where Simba considers going back. For our main characters in both of the stories, the initial fight brings them to a land that is far from their home. In Beowulf, he must travel to an unfamiliar land to fight an unfamiliar beast. He makes this trip to the mead hall twice, but the second time he once again must go into the unknown as he goes to fight Grendel's mother. In The Lion King, Simba flees to a land far from his own when he is just a child. Though he does not fight while he is away, he learns a very important lesson that helps him with his fight later on. He also starts to believe in himself, and this brings him to his decision to return to Pride Rock and fight to make sure that Scar doesn't harm them again. Their time away from home proves to be very significant and helpful for challenges later on. In the beginning of both stories, the main character starts in their homeland. In Beowulf, this is Geatland. When we are introduced to the situation in the introduction, Beowulf is said to be in Geatland, and he travels to the mead hall to take on his first battle. The Lion King starts with Simba's birth on Pride Rock. We see the first years of his life here and follow as Mufasa teaches him the ways of the land. However, once Mufasa dies, Simba flees. This is not the only time the main character spends in their homeland. In both situations, the final battle is fought during the return. For Beowulf, it is a fight with a dragon, a fight that ultimately takes his life. In Geatland, a giant dragon had been threatening the area, and Beowulf knew he had to stop it. He prevails and kills the dragon, but his life after is not long. In The Lion King, Simba returns to Pride Rock after much persuasion to fight Scar, his uncle, who killed Mufasa. In this fight, Simba is near death, but in the end, he kills Scar and takes his spot as the leader of the Pride. In both stories, their homeland is where the story ends.
Like Beowulf, Simba was born into a noble life. He endures challenges throughout his life, such as the death of his father and overthrowing Scar, while Beowulf fights Grendel and his mother. Finally, Simba takes the throne of Pride Rock, just like Beowulf becomes king of the Geats. They are both heroes because they put the greater good above their own interests, are the central character, and have incorruptible morals. A villain to stand in the way of accomplishment is necessary in every hero's journey. In Lion King, Scar fits that description by killing the king, blaming Simba, and letting the kingdom suffer for his personal gain. Grendel relates to Scar because he also took out his jealous rage on civilians by killing anyone spending the night in Herat. They both make excellent villains because they are the common enemy and are defeated by the hero. Rafiki and Mufasa both guide Simba to greatness. Mufasa ensures that Simba will always be good-willed and strong, and Rafiki reminds Simba that the throne truly belongs to him. Similarly, Hrothgar and Higelac mentor Beowulf by guiding him on how to fight, being an example of the Anglo-Saxon moral code, and giving him the resources necessary to successfully be king of the Geats. Zazu and Wolfgar are both archetypal heralds because they both serve their kings and inform the hero of the call to action. Zazu does this by sending for him when he abandons Pride Rock. Wolfgar does this by informing them about Grendel when they arrive at Hrothgar's home. Timon, Pumbaa, and Nala both come to Simba in his time of need. They offer their help and loyalty in his journey back to the throne. Similarly, Beowulf's warriors are loyal to him throughout his life, but at the end only Wiglaf remains as a true ally to Beowulf. The hyenas, archetypal tricksters, are Scar's not-so-smart henchmen. They compare in some ways to Grendel's mother, because she struck back after Grendel was killed, like the way the hyenas did when Simba came to overthrow Scar.
Christian symbolism appears in The Lion King from the beginning. During the Circle of Life, Simba is baptized on Pride Rock by Rafiki. After the baptism, Rafiki lifts Simba up for all those to see. As he does this, the clouds spread and a ray of light shines down, symbolically representing God's acceptance of Simba into the world and marking his destiny to do great things. Similarly, in Beowulf, Grendel's destiny is determined from the very beginning of his life as he was born from Cain, a place of sinfulness. From this, the viewer can interpret that Grendel is a monstrous character. Additionally, in both The Lion King and Beowulf, there is a Christ character who is willing to sacrifice his own life for the good of others. Mufasa fits this character because he saves Simba from getting trampled on by a stampede of wildebeest, but unfortunately Mufasa cannot save himself. Saving Simba means saving Pride Rock from being destroyed by Scar's rolling. Beowulf would be the Christ character as he sacrificed his life in the battle with the dragon. Without this sacrifice, a war would have broken out, leaving devastation to Beowulf's people and land. Before and even after his death, Mufasa continues to play a significant role as he becomes a powerful Christian-like presence. This great presence becomes the strength and encouragement of Simba to continue on his journey. Simba feels the presence on Mufasa when looking at the sky, the river, and himself, and most importantly, in the stars. For instance, towards the beginning of the story, Mufasa says to Simba while looking at the stars, that those kings will always be there to guide you, and so will I. These words give Simba the strength to go back to Pride Rock and save what was rightfully his. Like Simba, Beowulf finds a powerful and encouraging presence from God himself. Beowulf and others claim that Beowulf's success is partly from the strength of God. For instance, to describe Beowulf's defeat of Grendel's mother, Hrothgar says, "And holy God, who sent him victory, gave judgment from truth and right, ruler of the heavens." This compares to Christianity's belief that Christ lives within his followers and guides them.
The hero's journey and stories as an avenue to communicate the central values of a culture. The hero's journey, also known as the monomyth, can be described as Joseph Campbell's theory that all great heroes' tales follow the same basic path, having as many individual variations as there are variations among individuals in the human race. The archetypal hero, at the epicenter of the hero's journey, often exemplifies the superlatives of each society and can serve as a great clue of that society's values and culture. The hero's journey begins when the hero is introduced. In The Lion King, this occurs when the newborn lion, Simba, is held over a crowd of every animal in Pride Plain, who are his father's loyal subjects. In front of all, they announce his birth and place as heir to the throne. This also serves as an introduction to the hero's ordinary world, where he lives a life of peace, love, and luxury under Mufasa's wing. Simba is presented with a problem as Scar, Mufasa's jealous and conniving younger sibling, plots to kill both Simba and Mufasa. Scar succeeds in killing only Mufasa, as he bravely gives his life to save Simba. After Mufasa's death, Scar convinces Simba that his father's death was his own doing, and then the young cub should go far away from the kingdom to avoid the wrath of his family. Scar is jealous and envious of Mufasa's deeds. He can be seen as similar to Unferth, who challenges Beowulf out of jealousy. Before and after Mufasa's death, our hero receives encouragement from him as a mentor. This occurs as Mufasa raises Simba. Simba's mentor, Mufasa, teaches him about the life of being a king and the responsibilities it holds. He shows Simba the circle of life. Mufasa teaches Simba how to hunt, be fierce, and control his actions. He trains Simba for the future. Later in the movie, Mufasa's ghost, or memory, returns to help him remember who he is. This encouragement is what Simba needed to accept his call to action. Here, Mufasa could be seen as being similar to Hrothgar, who mentors Beowulf and is the keeper of his throne. Before the real test of Simba's courage begins, he sets out to prove that he is brave enough to become king. He goes to the elephant graveyard, which is forbidden for Pride members. Even Mufasa himself has only fought off the hyenas on the border of Pride lands. This place resembles the cave or hell-like place, deep underground, that many archetypal heroes face. He barely survives being attacked by a pack of Scar's hyenas. This place is much like Grendel's mother's home, deep under the mere. After being chased away by the hyenas out of his ordinary world, Simba is lost out in the desert. He meets two allies by the names of Timon and Pumbaa. They feel pity for him and take him under their wing. They are also his mentors for a short while as he is in exile and teach him to relax with their phrase, Hakuna Matata. He even grows into a young adult lion with them at his side. After many years, Simba rescues Timon and Pumbaa from a hungry lioness, who turns out to be someone from his childhood, Nala. She and Simba reconcile and fall in love. Nala urges Simba to return home, telling him that Pride lands have become a wasteland without enough food and water. This is Simba's call to adventure, which he must choose to accept or decline. Feeling guilty over his father's death, Simba refuses and storms off, leaving Nala disappointed and angry. He spends some time pondering his father's guilt and is afraid of what the other lions will think of him when they find out about his role in Mufasa's death. Simba encounters Mufasa's mandrill friend and advisor, Rafiki. He tells Simba that Mufasa is alive and takes him to a pond. This is where Simba is visited by the ghost of Mufasa in the sky, who tells him that he must take his rightful place as the king of Pride lands. Simba realizes he can no longer run from his past and goes home. Nala, Timon, and Pumbaa join him and agree to help him fight. Simba's supreme test does not take place deep underground, but in his old home, Pride Land. Simba is hardly able to recognize it, as it has been decimated by Scar. He knows that he must defeat Scar in order to reclaim his homeland and return it to the prosperous kingdom that Mufasa once reigned over. Simba is aware that he may lose his life, just as his father did, and decides to face his fears against Scar. When Scar pushes Simba to the edge of Pride Rock, he admits he himself killed Mufasa. Enraged, Simba roars back up and forces Scar to reveal the truth to the other lions. Scar attempts to escape, but is cornered by Simba at the top of Pride Rock. Scar begs Simba for mercy, saying he is family, and placing the blame on the hyenas. Simba says he does not believe Scar anymore, but spares his life and commands him to forever leave Pride lands. Scar meekly walks past him, but attacks his nephew. After a fierce battle, Simba throws his uncle off of Pride Rock. Though Simba does not have to travel far, his road back occurs when Simba takes his spot upon Pride Rock and reclaims his place as king. His strength was proven in the battle against Scar. His honesty was also tested when he revealed that he was the cause of Mufasa's death, even if it wasn't his fault. He shows that Simba is a strong leader and is worthy to be the king of Pride Rock. Simba emerges from his long exile as the new king of Pride Land. He is no longer ashamed of himself, as he knows that he has made Mufasa proud. He marries Nala, and he has grown into the king that he was meant to be. Rain falls as he takes his place on Pride Rock, which may symbolize his kingdom being cleansed of the guilt and wrath that Scar inflicted, or new life coming to Simba and his land as the drought ends. The Lion King was a film produced by Walt Disney and released by Walt Disney Pictures. This story exemplifies coming of age, the importance of lessons learned from others, and overcoming guilt and fears to help others.
This presentation has been centered around The Lion King, a modern Disney feature film, and archetypes found within. Through archetypes, we were able to compare Beowulf, a 6th century tale wrought in battle, courage, and deep evils, to a modern 20th century animated film about a young lion becoming king of the savannah. Through this project, we learned that heroes are universal and that through stories, connections can always be made across borders of lands and time.